Wonderful. We see we have some guests joining. We're going to get started in just a few moments. We are waiting for a few more individuals to join. Again, we'll get started in just a few moments. We are waiting for a few more individuals to join. Thank you for being here.
To those that are just joining us, we're just waiting for a few more minutes longer before going ahead and starting the webinar. Just waiting for everybody else to get connected. Thanks for being here.
Wonderful. And it looks like our attendee list is building up. So what we can do is move on over. So let me just share my screen with you all, and we can get started. Wonderful.
All right, perfect. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us here today, where we're going to talk about how you can bring relational organizing to your campaign. We'll likely our sort of overview for this webinar. We're going to quickly give you guys an introduction to NationBuilder, to Qomon, before heading on over to different ways that you can actually incorporate relational organizing to your actual projects. I am Helen, and I'm from Qomon, and I'm joined here with Jordan from NationBuilder as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much, Helen. Yes, I'm Jordan. I'm the senior organizer here at NationBuilder. And as Helen indicated, we're going to talk a little bit about relational organizing today and give a little bit of a deep dive into both of our different digital tools. So how today's flow will kind of start is we're going to give a little bit of background on NationBuilder and on Qomon. We'll then move into kind of a demo where you all will have the ability to see both of our tools in action. After that, we'll open it up for different questions. So please feel free, if you do have any questions, jot them down. We'll make sure to get to them at the end of today. So as I mentioned, we're going to start off with just a little bit of an overview of NationBuilder to start off and kind of our different digital tools. So at NationBuilder, we're an all-in-one software solution. We like to say that we build software that builds movements. We're built by organizers dedicated to making sure it's as easy and possible for you all to organize and advocate within your local communities. And we do so with the help of our 4 core digital tools. The first of which is our dynamic CRM. This is what we like to call our people section. Within your people section, you'll have the ability to manage individual profiles, have a centralized database, all with the idea of being able to manage your people in one space. And then with the help of our next tool, engage with them through our communication suite. At NationBuilder, we offer a wide variety of different ways for you to be able to communicate with individuals, whether it's via email, both on a one-to-one basis and an email blast basis. And then if you are joining us here today from the United States or Canada, we do additionally offer texting in those countries. On top of that, we next have our digital tool, which is our CMS or our website builder. We'll kind of showcase this a little bit more later, but at NationBuilder, you'll have the ability to build websites. These are built to be action-oriented. The idea here is you want to move individuals directly into action and be able to allow them to share those actions out to the people around them. So at NationBuilder, we offer a wide variety of different stock themes within our different pricing plans. And on top of that, we do have a theme marketplace where you can partner with one of our incredible third-party architects to build the website of your choosing. Our last element I want to focus on here today is just going to be our fundraising suite. At NationBuilder, we do have our own payment processor. It's powered by Stripe. And within that, you'll have the ability to manage and engage your individuals, your donors in one centralized place. Next, I want to talk a little bit more about our company as a whole. So at NationBuilder, we have a couple fundamental product principles that have really been with us since we got started. The first of which is that your data is exactly that. It is yours and yours alone. At NationBuilder, we are not a data vendor. We are not a data supplier. That data is yours to be able to import and export and grow all within your own abilities. Next, we understand being able to put the people at the center of the work that you're doing. We know in political campaigns and advocacy organizations how critical and vital it is to really put work on a specific individual and really identify what they are doing. So we've made sure that our product and our tools are built around this to make it as easy as possible for you all. On top of that, we know how critical it is to then move those individuals to action, whether it's to vote for you, to donate to you, to volunteer for you. We want to make sure that all tools can move those individuals directly into action and help spread the word, where you can then reach out to other individuals and pull your friends into the work that a campaign might be doing. And finally, distribute leadership. We know how vital it is for everyone within a campaign to have leadership capabilities. So at NationBuilder, we do not charge for additional licensing. Everyone will have access into utilizing NationBuilder and will have the ability to be able to take on leadership roles within our software. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about us as a company and how we kind of got started. So at NationBuilder, we've been around for just over 12 years, and we have a fundamental theory of change. And that is that solving today's biggest challenges isn't about one leader, it's about millions. NationBuilder exists to make it possible for anyone to easily mobilize their community and then lead those individuals to action. We know how critical it is for everyone to take on a leadership role and really commit to change. So what we do is provide that infrastructure for that growth. Now, I want to talk about some success we've seen with some of our customers while using our fully integrated software solution. So we've seen our customers recruit over 71 times more supporters, receive up to 7.5 times more donations per supporter, and had those supporters fundraise 47 times more on behalf of their organizations. They were able to use our different tools to be able to organize relationally and grow the outreach that they were doing and really create a more of an impactful situation. And with that, I want to talk about two real success stories that we've seen. The first of which is with Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp is the current governor of Georgia in the United States. And Brian Kemp, while using NationBuilder's tools, was able to send over 2.1 million emails, helped fundraise over $450,000, and helped bring over 2,000 new volunteers who they recruited and then mobilized those individuals direct into action with NationBuilder's tools. And the last element I want to focus on here with NationBuilder is Premier Populaire. When they started on NationBuilder 2 months before their election, they only had 50 active volunteers. Through our relational organizing tools, they were able to grow that to over 5,000 different volunteers within those last 2 months. They recruited over 430,000 new supporters and email subscribers, and they brought in 40,000 new donors. We're going to focus a little bit later, kind of how those tools were able to allow these different individuals to grow. But this is just a quick overview of NationBuilder. As I mentioned, we'll go through a demo in a little bit and see how this can be put into action. But before we do that, I want to pass it right on over to my colleague, Helen, so she could tell you all a little bit more about Qomon.
Hey, everyone. So thanks for that, Jordan. So I'm joining you guys from Qomon, and we believe in the future of citizen engagement, and we build tools to make it a reality. So a little bit about us. Our job is really to equip NGOs and political movements and elected officials, etc., and help them reach a maximum number of people for their projects, structure their databases, manage a great number of people and constituents, and help them have a bigger impact on the community. As you can see here, we operate in more than 50 countries throughout the world. We are a certified B Corp company, and we are also privacy laws compliant. That does include GDPR. And here's a few of our numbers that you guys can take a look at. So to get in a little bit more about what the platform is about, so at Qomon, you have 3 main sets of features. The first one being our CRM, our Citizen Relationship Management. So this set is for your contact management, your database management, and this is where you're able to enrich your database, qualify your contacts, centralize your contacts, and manage duplicates, keeping it clean, and filter them later on for targeted communications and actions on the ground. Next, our second set is really our strategy set. With mapping and analytics, you're able to analyze data that your canvassers collect and monitor the advancement of your campaign, of your actions, and monitor the impact of your organization. And then lastly here, our third set, which is going to be pretty important for what we're talking about today, is our digital organizing features, which allows you to reach out to people, mobilize your community, your constituents, your voters, your supporters, where you can, of course, manage your teams of volunteers on the ground and create digital organizing actions like door-to-door, but most importantly for today, something like peer-to-peer organizing. which brings us to our next slide here on where that is all done. For the most part, through our mobile app. So through our mobile app, you have all of your sort of digital organizing needs, accessible, intuitive, you get higher engagement and reach, you get instant data collection, and you're able to speak with push notifications. Next year, you have your dynamic walk and call lists. They're handy, they're on your mobile app for your volunteers to start wherever, whenever, and create surveys to help guide conversation for them. Next year, you have your targeted actions with mapping and data. So really using those strategies, that part of that second feature that I spoke to really target the actions that you're sending your volunteers to go do, right? Have them, work smarter, not harder. And then lastly here, taking advantage of those meaningful connections, which is really what we're going to be talking about most here, and launching those peer-to-peer messaging directly from your headquarters down to your volunteers in really just a few clicks. So next here, if we really focus on, that sort of aspect that I just spoke about, those sort of meaningful connections, I'd like to bring up here our case study that we had over with Jadot in 2022. So for a bit of context, Jadot ran for the 2022 presidential election, where they incorporated relational organizing into their campaign. They used Qomon for their peer-to-peer messaging features to reach their community for several reasons, some being get out the vote, right? Events, sort of inviting or asking your volunteers to invite their friends, their family to rallies, to events that were happening in their area, surveys. So, reaching out to your friends to say, hey, how do you feel about Jadot? Or, what do you think about this candidate after what they said in this debate? But also, sharing over petitions and collecting signatures from sharing those links quickly with Qomon's sharing functions. And it's either directly through messaging, right? So our features help facilitate direct messages, SMS, but also through posting and sharing on social media. And what happened here is that they were really able to, empower their volunteers to become sort of leaders of their own pods themselves in order to spread their message about the campaign. And what's so great about this is that then those friends and those families also become leaders of their own pods. And this is where you really get into that sort of snowflake effect, right? Where your message goes further and further, and instead of a sort of traditional single leader model, it's replaced with several, interconnected leaders in charge of their own part of the campaigning people. But also, most importantly, it's also being told by individuals who are able to actually leverage their own trust within their relationships for more compelling impact. And more widely looking at those sort of sharing on platforms like Facebook and Twitter, they were really able to benefit from a sort of social media amplification, where they were able to reach so many people in such a small amount of time with so little resources. And so what they saw was, they were able to, mobilize over 2,000 volunteers, carry out over 3,000 actions, and collect over 30,000 emails. And to speak to relational organizing as a whole as part of a campaign, but also true for others, is that, overall the quality of the data that they're collecting are through people that they know, and is therefore information that can be relied on. And also in turn becomes information that they or the campaign are most likely to take action on. So here you see some of the benefits of relational organizing. So creating power within individual communities. One of the biggest benefits of relational organizing is that you get to reach those communities that are typically harder to reach. And it might take, a few handful of just people within those communities that you reach out to, who then, are part of that community and can reach out to theirs. And there's an emphasis the power of storytelling. So personal narratives have a profound impact on building connections and inspiring actions. It helps build relationships, create empathy, amplify marginalized voices, and really connect the personal to political. Next here, it really allows for organic supporter growth. So through peer influence, where these relationships are built on trust and credibility, where you also have the space to tailor and personalize those conversations. And then lastly here, higher contact rates. So, we just see higher contact rates in relational organizing because, not everybody wants to answer a stranger's call, for example. And you see that, relational organizing, increases the likelihood of voting by, 8%, rather than just sending random, phone calls or messaging to people that you may not, know. So that sort of wraps this up here, and I'll let Jordan talk a little bit more about how we can actually incorporate or use tools like NationBuilder to help our relational organizing efforts.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Helen. Yeah. So as we all just saw, we went through a little bit of a background kind of on our different digital tools and how they can be used effectively, who we are as companies as well. And what we want to kind of do right now is take a little bit more of a dive on those tools and how they can be used to actually spread your message. And to get really down into the weeds on it, we want to understand, what relational organizing is at the core. And that's relying on individuals that are already committing to the work that you all are doing to help spread that to their own personal network. So what we're going to do is kind of help emphasize this in just a little bit. So a little bit of an overview before we go in. What we'll be doing right now is we're going to be using one of NationBuilder's websites. I built it yesterday, so it's not too hard to build on it. But what we'll do there specifically is we're going to take a few actions. The idea then is to see how those actions will then render right on into a control panel and how we can manage those individuals. And then with the help of Qomon's tools, be able to engage them and grow the work that we're doing. So what I'm going to do is take us on over into a front-facing NationBuilder website. And as I mentioned, we're going to take a few different actions. So I hope you all can see my screen here. What we have here is Stephen Green. They're running for MP for part of London. And what we're going to do here today is just sign up to become a volunteer with Stephen Green's campaign. We love the work that they're doing, and we want to be able to commit to that work. So we're going to move on over to our volunteer page. And as you all can see, what we're going to be doing is signing up to become a volunteer for this campaign. And it looks like what they're looking for right now is some people to do some phone banking. So we all know if we're in campaigns, we love phone bankers. They meet people where they are and when they are. So what we're going to do is scroll on down. And as you all will be able to see right here, we have the ability to fill out a form. Now, as I mentioned earlier, within NationBuilder, we're going to make it as easy as possible for people to commit to action. We want to build action-oriented web pages and websites for you to be able to move those individuals into action. The idea then is to see how those individuals will then render right on in to our control panel. So what we're going to do is fill this information out. First and foremost, we have a little prompt that asks, will we want to volunteer, and will we host an event, be a social media ambassador, reach out to my network. So what we're going to do is say that we love to reach out to our network. We're going to put in our name. So we're going to say that our name is Harriet Williams. Put an email here at gmail.com. Put in a phone number. And then what I'm going to do is, as you can see, we have the ability to opt into some communication. So we're going to say that we'd love to receive text, so we can opt into a phone number here. Now, when is a good time to call? We're going to say that we are available from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. We'll put in our address. So we're going to say 11 North Street, London, UK. We'll put in our zip code as well. And we're going to be available on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So now Harriet has had this ability to be able to fill out this information and fill out this form to become a volunteer for Stephen Green's campaign. So what we're going to do is just save our volunteer information. Now, what I want to be able to show you right now is this element. Right here, as you can see, we have the ability to share this information out. Now, this is a social share prompt. This really relies on relational organizing. As I mentioned, relational organizing at its core relies on individuals that are committed to the work that you all are doing within your day-to-day and spreading that message to their personal network. So here, Harriet will have the ability to share this via email, Facebook, Twitter, or WhatsApp to their personal network. Allow that information to be shared so other individuals can then be able to sign up to also volunteer with Stephen Green's campaign. The importance there is that storytelling piece that Helen so eloquently talked about. Right here, Harriet can share this information and tell their own story of why they think that people should support Stephen Green's campaign. It's a great way to really put the control back into your supporters and your volunteers and allow them to spread your message within their own. So we've taken this action immediately. What I want to be able to showcase right now is actually how this information will then render right on back into our control panel. So I'm going to move on over and I'm going to show you all what a NationBuilder control panel looks like. So here, as you all can see, we lined up within our dashboard piece in NationBuilder. Now, within our dashboard, you can create different goals and track your progress there. But what's really important that I want to hone in on before we go into that information that is rendered is going to be what's in our side navigator piece here. Now, what this is those 4 core digital tools I referenced earlier. So we have that people section or the CRM or the database we talked about. We have our website or our CMS, the ability to build those action-oriented websites right on in within your control panel. We have our communication suite where you can text and email different individuals directly on a one-to-one or a blast basis. And then finally, we have that finances, that fundraising piece where you can see all your financial components rendered live in one time. And what we're going to do right here is actually move into our people section. As I mentioned, this is our database. I'm going to move this on over so you can all see. And within our database, there's 2 different ways individuals can arrive here. First and foremost, they can take an action directly on a NationBuilder built website, as we just saw with Harriet, which is why Harriet is live within our individual profile within our people section here. Additionally, you can import individuals. So as I mentioned, when we were going through our product principles, that data is yours. You can import different individuals directly on into NationBuilder, right in under our people section. You'll see an import. As long as it's a CSV file, you can import that info right on over and it'll be live right there. Now, what I want to focus on here is what goes within an individual profile. So we're going to select on Harriet's and we're going to go through Harriet's profile. So there's a couple core things we always like to focus on here. The first of which I'm actually going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And this is going to be our activities section, which I've highlighted. Now, within your activities section, all actions taken by an individual on a front-facing website can render in live time. So Harriet just had the ability to take a few different actions. Those actions, because they opted in to be received by NationBuilder, have now rendered right on in live time. So we have that Harriet wants to volunteer. We have that Harriet is a supporter. All of these different actions that Harriet has taken has now rendered directly on in. Why is this important? It's a great way to have historical context on individuals, see who's committed to the work that you're doing, see what else they've signed up for, if they had reached out to you in the past, what that might look like. On top of that, all actions taken on a control panel side, so the side we're currently in right now, are also going to render. So I'm going to show what that might look like. If we scroll up just a bit, we're on our dashboard. Within our dashboard, you'll have the ability to send and add notes on individuals. You can email an individual directly. If you're in the United States or Canada, you can text an individual directly. But what we can also do is log a contact. So we have the ability here to directly log contacts on communications we have with these individuals. So we can just say, Harriet is a supporter. We should ask about phone banking. So we know that Harriet signed up. Maybe we had reached out, seen, and they said that they're interested in phone banking. We can mark this as a specific type of communication. So let's say that this was maybe a meeting that we had, a meaningful interaction. And then there's this piece called log to path. Now, what that is we'll skip over for just right now, but we're going to go through what a path is in just a moment. And we can say that Harriet was contacted. Immediately, if I scroll back down, this information is automatically rendered. So all information, both on a front-facing site, actions taken by an individual, or within the control panel site, will automatically render. Now, I wanted to go over 2 more quick things before I pass it back over to Helen. And the first of which is just going to be that path component that I skipped over. Now, what this is our ladder of engagement tool. The idea within this path is to move an individual from one step to the other until they've completed the journey that you've put them on. So here we have that Harriet is already on this become a volunteer path. Individuals can be added to paths through actions taken on a website. So we know that Harriet signed up to become a volunteer, hence why Harriet is now on this path. On top of that, they can also be given to an individual manually. You can create one within NationBuilder and assign it to individuals. So our job is to move this individual on over to complete this journey, complete this path if we're working for the Stephen Green campaign. And the last component I want to focus on are going to be these little virtual yellow sticky notes you all see above. Now, what these are tags. Tags are great ways of grouping people together. Tags can be given to individuals in 3 separate ways. 1, through an action taken on a front-facing website. We know that Harriet signed up to become a volunteer. And as you all can see, we have a volunteer signups 2023. They can also be given to individuals through importing. So you can import maybe your volunteers all on a specific tag, or you can manually go on in and create a new tag and assign it to people. But what I want to show is how we saw Harriet take an action. That tag was automatically given to them. And now if we click on this piece, we will be able to really highlight and see that there is a big group of individuals, 47 total, that have also signed up on this page to become volunteers. Now, with some of NationBuilder's tools, what we can then do is engage them. But what the beauty of our integration here with Qomon is, Qomon will also be able to receive these different tags from different individuals and be able to utilize their tools to really make an impact as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing for just this one moment, and I'm going to pass it on over to Helen. And Helen's going to be able to take over and talk about the Qomon integration and that piece and how vital and critical it is to really reach people where they are.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for that, Jordan. So like he said, I'm going to start off really by showing you how we can actually take these volunteers that come in through places like NationBuilder, and how we can get them started to start sharing our messages with their contacts, have them start calling their friends, really have them begin mobilizing with your campaign. Can you see my screen okay? Just want to make sure everything is perfect. Fantastic. So here I'm on my Qomon, my contact database here. You see I'm in the Stephen Green for MP campaign. Here's really where I have my contact database that has been synced up with NationBuilder. And I want to go ahead and I want to find Harriet, right, that Jordan added earlier on, because I want to get her started on Qomon. I want to get her taking actions with us right away. So I'll go ahead and I'll look for Harriet. Another thing that I could do, which since we do have that taggings all synchronized over, is I want to go ahead and look for everybody really who's really wants to get started with us and volunteer with our campaign. So I'll go ahead and load that list. I have about 25 people interested here. Most notably here, I have Harriet. But how do I actually get them on Qomon? How do I get them started? So what I could do here is I could load my list of people interested in volunteering with us, and I could go ahead and send them an email inviting them to our Qomon, come join our space on Qomon to start mobilizing. And I can go ahead and include our invitation code for our space, which is customizable per campaign. For this one, I believe it's Green for MP 2023, and send that over to all of those interested in getting started with us. And once that's gone ahead and sent, they go ahead and create their accounts, and you find them here as part of your member space later on. So here we have just us for now, but what would happen is you would see them here as part of your members. Now, what happens now? So what do you actually do next? What can you do next? So here on Qomon, the entire sort of premises of our mobile app is really to get your volunteers on the ground actually taking action for your campaign. So here for our purposes of this webinar, I really wanted to focus on a couple of our actions for you to start using for relational organizing purposes. One of them being our share action. So like Jordan spoke about earlier, being able to use your voice and your storytelling and your narrative to actually reach your networks, reach your friends, your families, that type of stuff. And that can be done directly from HQ down to your volunteers. So if I want to go ahead, I'm from HQ on a campaign, I'm a field coordinator, I want to go ahead and start telling my volunteers to start contacting or start messaging their contacts to see how they feel about our candidate, I'll go ahead and say, create my action, ask your friends. Next, and here's where I can create that message to be shared. Do you have a moment to chat about Ethan Green? I want to go ahead and I want this message, right? This is the message that I'm assigning to my volunteers so that they can then send over to their friends so I can collect this information. I'm going to click next here and I'm going to assign it to my peer-to-peer teams and I'm going to create my action. So there I have that one, ask your friends, sharing action created where my volunteers, and I'll show you guys in a bit, will then have the option to send that directly by SMS, WhatsApp, whatever they use to their friends and start collecting that really valuable, high quality data from their networks. And then next year, I also wanted to go ahead and create one of the bigger things which Harriet was interested in doing is potentially phone banking, which is another one of the other really big actions that Qomon facilitates so that your volunteers can start calling their lists and start adding their contacts to your campaign's greater HQ database here. So I'm going to go ahead and create that calling action. I can see the list of people whose phone numbers my campaign already has. So I'm going to send this over to my volunteers and, call your friends as well. I'm going to give it a start date. I can give it an end date as well. And then I'm going to give them some instructions or a script. Maybe I really would like something scripted, but think about this relational organizing. These are really very fluid, very natural conversations. So maybe I want to just add some little maybe instructions and I want to say, call your friends once you've finished the call list. So once they finish calling all those people that we saw earlier, that list of 8 people, I'd like them to start adding their own contacts, their own networks in there. So I'm going to go ahead and I've created those 2 actions there. And now I'm just going to share my my phone screen here so that you guys can see what it will look like for your volunteers once they get started on their mobile apps. So I'm going to head into my action here, my space here on my phone, and I can see here that I have some actions assigned to me. Got 4 new actions, got call your friends. These are just some extra ones that I've made earlier. But what I see here is when I go ahead and I enter that sharing action, maybe ask your friends here, do you have a moment to chat about Stephen Green? Can share this message to my contacts really easily with Qomon. I get the option to send it over to my friends, to share it with my social networks as well. I go ahead and click on that. It will open up my Facebook post and I can share it right then and there. And that is done. What I can also do, go back here. If I head over into our calling our friends action. So this is our phone banking. This is really here's this list to start off with, but then afterwards, I really want you guys to start speaking to your networks. I can easily do that with Qomon. So I go ahead, I open my phone banking action. I start it, and then I have my list of people to call. I can, go ahead and speak to Katrin, where I can then register that she's accepted to speak to me, and then I can go ahead and collect information. Is she going to vote for Stephen on October 15th or not? Yes. Is she interested in volunteering? Sure, why not? And then I can go ahead and finish it up. But what's more interesting here, especially for relational organizing purposes, is being able to then add people to your own list. So if I'm looking for a friend of mine here, her name is Emma, I don't see her, I can go ahead and add a contact. I can go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to add a new contact. Her name is Emma Fight, and I'm going to go ahead and add a phone number. So go ahead here. She's given me consent, update contact, and now Emma is part of my database. So I'm going to go ahead and start a call with Emma. Can go ahead and start that call with her. and I can start collecting information from my friend. Hi, Emma, how are you doing? Are you going to vote for Stephen on October 15th, whatever else, and start collecting that really high quality information, like mentioned earlier. And what's great about this is that every single time you guys add new contacts, that you guys go ahead and you add those support levels as well. All of that gets synced directly back up to your NationBuilder, right, with the Qomon NationBuilder integration, where you'll then be able to follow those automatic email workflows that you guys have set up per support level. And yeah, so in terms of Qomon, this is how you can really hone in on your contact database, your integration with NationBuilder, getting your volunteers mobilized, getting them on your platform to start messaging their friends, to start calling their friends, so that you guys have more and more data to then build your campaign off of. And so that, I'm going to go ahead and open up, stop sharing here. And now I'm going to go ahead and really open the floor up to any questions that you guys may have, not only just about Qomon or just about NationBuilder, but about really incorporating relational organizing into your campaigns, about how we can help as well. So I'll open it up now.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to jot them into the chat or the question and answer boxes below. We'll make sure to get to them. And to just, recap a little bit about, everything we kind of went through today. What we really wanted to emphasize is how quick and easy that integration is between NationBuilder and Qomon. How Harriet was able to flow from an action page onto NationBuilder where we can manage their profile and then be able to push actions out into the world where they can spread their own, using their own voice and connect with other individuals. So we really wanted to be able to showcase that today with the help of both of our different digital tools and our softwares. So as Helen indicated, if you do have any questions, please feel free to jot them down. And then just to let you all know, we will be sending a follow-up email tomorrow with the recording. So please feel free, if you have any additional questions beyond just today, to follow up via email. We'll make sure to put you in touch with the right team members, connect you with the right people to hopefully, show you our software is just a little bit more as well. And I see the first question that has just come in, and it just wanted us to emphasize personally, what we think is the most important parts of relational organizing. So Helen, if you don't mind, I would love to go first. As a former political organizer who worked on campaigns, selfishly, I think that my favorite part of relational organizing is the storytelling piece. I would say just due to the fact that you're allowing people to have their story of self and why they identify within this campaign or the organization you're working with, whatever it might be. I think that's the most important thing to me. But that is definitely from a field organizer position. I also understand that if you're here with the campaign, if you're here with a political party, one thing that we always hear is the organic growth. It's always important to try to find new voters and then mobilize those individuals that maybe don't vote as often. And I think that organic growth element with the tools that Qomon has to be able to share and reach people in, that might not be on your list or might not have signed up is always going to be valuable. Meeting voters where they are is so important and so critical. So I would say those, I know I kind of answered a little bit too long, but I do think those are the two main things, two different approaches that make relational organizing so beneficial.
Sorry, I was muted. I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you, Jordan. That storytelling really brings a more human touch to what can be, something a little bit more daunting like politics. And really, and it makes for a more compelling reaction, a more compelling movement, a more compelling story, right? Is when you're able to add your own narrative and speak to people who know you, maybe even just a little bit, for them to know a little bit more about you and why it's so important in your life, in your narrative, in your story.
Wonderful. I see another question about how often we work together. I think that's a great question. We have worked together in terms of Qomon and NationBuilder pretty often. We work with some pretty big political parties and some smaller different organizations and campaigns as well. So we have, kind of a wide variety of different customers, joint customers that we really want to be able to emphasize have done some incredible work with both of our tools, being able to really capture their own stories and being able to meet new individuals, get on the ground, go door knocking, canvassing, phone banking, all of those different capabilities. And our tools jointly have been able to really do that. So again, thank you for those questions that have come in. If you have any additional ones, please feel free to jot them down. We'd love to hear from you all. We'll wrap out in just a couple moments, but we'd love to, have a couple more questions. Thank you. Wonderful. We just received another, and I think Helen indicated this earlier, but it's just about GDPR compliance. So Helen, I know NationBuilder is completely GDPR compliant, but I also want to push that on over to you if you want to
Yeah.
talk more about that as well for Qomon.
Sure. Yeah, no, we're fully GDPR compliant. I think you guys may have seen that in my demo, especially when launching those phone calls that you're about to do with that survey that you're about to carry out with somebody. You do have those GDPR consent messages popping up a little bit everywhere, especially when you're collecting sensitive information, like collecting phone numbers and emails. There are extra systems in place to make sure that those are checked off, that your volunteers do read those notices as well. And then also what's really great is that, along, like you saw with NationBuilder with Qomon as well, is you can find all of those consents directly on those contact cards. And for Qomon especially, any type of information, any type of communication that you intend to do through Qomon, or any type of actions that you do through Qomon, if people have removed their consent from, Qomon does go ahead and automatically removes them from those walk lists, from those call lists, from those bulk emailings that you may do, so that you guys don't get flagged on anything there. So yeah, definitely fully GDPR compliant and privacy laws compliant as well.
Wonderful. And then I did just see another come in. We talked a lot about the question revolves around, do we work outside of just the political world? And I think that's a great question. We talked a lot about campaigns, and we wanted to focus on that today. However, I know, NationBuilder and Qomon work with a lot of nonprofits and NGOs. With NationBuilder, you're able to build petition forms and being able to manage individuals centrally in that centralized CRM and really be able to communicate with them as well. You can use that no matter if you're running for office, if you are a small nonprofit, an advocacy group, an issue-based NGO. And I know Qomon's the same, but I'll pass over to Helen if you want to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we work with, small, tiny NGOs to big national elections and campaigns. We have, also features like petitions and things like online forms and surveys for you to go ahead and collect information for your NGO project, to carry out those public consultations that you might have for your projects as well. And really plan your next food delivery for your NGO, your next whatever it may be. So yeah, we work with a variety of different projects, different customers around the world.
Wonderful. And I haven't seen any other questions come in. So what we can do is just say thank you. Thank you all for coming today and attending, and participating. We really enjoyed it. As I mentioned, we will be sending a follow-up email tomorrow. That email will include the recording of the webinar. So if you do have any other further questions, please feel free to respond to us via email. Also, make sure to link over Helen's email within that as well. And I'm sure Qomon will be reaching out to individuals as well. But we want to just make sure, if you do have any additional questions, please feel free. Do not hesitate to reach out to our teams. We'll be there. We're happy to be able to help you. And, just from myself and from our team at NationBuilder, I want to thank you all for joining. and want to thank Qomon for being such wonderful partners.
Yep. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, everyone at NationBuilder as well. And thank you all on behalf of the Qomon team for joining us today on our webinar. And like Jordan said, feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions or you want to learn more about our products, maybe strategize about your relational organizing. We'd be happy to help.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all.
Right. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye-bye.